Some people will only learn to respect you when you stop trying to be accepted. And what if I told you that the most powerful way to command respect doesn't involve shouting, confrontations, or long speeches? Most people believe they need to react forcefully to be taken seriously. But Stoic philosophy shows the opposite. Those who master their ego control the room. While many explode to assert themselves, the true wise remain calm. And that calmness silences even the loudest. In this video, you'll discover why controlling your reactions is far more effective than trying to change others. You'll learn how to set boundaries without saying a word, how to shield yourself from other people's arrogance, and how to turn disregard into fuel for growth. Get ready to see insults differently and learn through practical wisdom how to keep your dignity intact without losing your edge. And the best part? You'll realize that silence can be your strongest weapon. If you're tired of trying to prove your worth, if you feel like your peace is being invaded, or if you want to protect yourself emotionally from people who keep testing you, then this is your video. Stick with me till the end. This content is for those who want to grow without having to fight for space. So go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who needs to reclaim their posture and power. Some people would rather hold on to their ignorance than open their minds to truly understand you. And the more you try to explain yourself, the more it feels like you're begging for respect. Stoic philosophy teaches us not to throw pearls to swine, and that applies to your words too. When someone chooses to see you with contempt, any argument you make sounds like noise, not wisdom. The solution? Stay silent. Not out of weakness, but inner strength. Trying to convince someone who's already labeled you is like shouting in a room full of people wearing headphones. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it's true, correct yourself. If it's false, ignore it. This ancient wisdom frees you from needing external validation. Want a practical example? When you're wrongly accused, channel that energy into self-improvement. Read about mastering the mind like the Stoics did. It's about exchanging the need to please for the power to grow. Your worth isn't measured by how many people applaud, but by the peace you feel when your conscience is clean. Insisting on being understood by someone trapped in their ego is like trying to teach Stoic philosophy to someone who only wants to win arguments. The best response in that case is silent growth. Let time show who held their peace and who just made noise. Respect is a two-way street, and if the other side blocks it, there's no point honking. Seneca warned us, spend your energy only on what's within your control, and changing someone's mind isn't. So, shift your focus. Meditate on your values. Study how to control anger. Practice self-discipline. That's worth far more than begging to be heard. Stoic life philosophy invites us to stop chasing applause from crowds that were never meant to clap for us. People who refuse to see your light don't deserve your candle. And the irony, the more you shine in silence, the more they get uncomfortable. Why? Because your silence reveals what their ego hides. Now think with me. If you truly want inner peace and mental strength, isn't it time to take your eyes off others and turn them inward? Because while you're trying to explain what you feel, there's a bigger battle happening, and it's not with anyone out there. Curious to know what it is? The first trap that destroys emotional control is believing you can change other people's behavior. You can't, and every attempt turns into frustration. Stoic philosophy teaches us that real power lies in mastering yourself, not the world. Seneca challenges us. Nothing is more admirable than keeping calm in the face of provocation, and he doesn't say that as theory. He lived it, surrounded by tension and conflict. Think of a common situation. Someone cuts you off in traffic, curses at you. What do most people do? React. But the Stoic trains for something else. He takes a deep breath, watches the impulse, and chooses calm. It may seem like weakness, but it's the opposite. Reacting with fury is giving your power away. Responding with serenity is revealing self-mastery, and that choice changes everything. It's like trading a fire for a glass of water. Controlling your reactions is harder than it sounds, but also more liberating than you think. Start with simple things. When unfairly criticized, ask yourself, does this define me or simply challenge me? That space between the stimulus and your response is where mental strength is born. And you can build that space with daily practices like meditation, reading Marcus Aurelius, or simply observing your ego. Personal development inevitably includes learning how to stop overreacting. Every time you lose control because of someone else's behavior, you're handing them the steering wheel of your emotional state. That's like letting someone who's lost drive your peace. The Stoic instead trains presence. He feels but doesn't get lost in feeling. Imagine a toxic work environment, full of gossip and ego games. You can be contaminated or become the anchor of calm. How? By studying a life philosophy that teaches how to stay calm under pressure. By practicing the self-discipline of not responding immediately. By forming the habit of listening more than speaking. Respect begins within, and it strengthens when you choose not to lash out, but to elevate the room with your posture. Reacting less and observing more is the beginning of a new journey, because once you start cultivating this type of emotional intelligence, something changes, first inside, then outside. And this quiet, almost invisible transformation sets the stage for something even more powerful, the art of setting boundaries, without saying a word. Shouting isn't firmness, it's desperation. The Stoic doesn't command respect through volume, but through consistency. Setting boundaries in silence is an art that few master, and those who do transform everything. When someone mistreats you and you scream back, you lose authority. But when you calmly distance yourself without drama, simply showing through actions that certain behavior won't be tolerated, the message is clear. And most importantly, it earns respect. Imagine someone who constantly interrupts you, belittles you, or treats you with disdain. Instead of complaining over and over, practice strategic withdrawal. Limit interactions, avoid deep conversations, respond only when necessary. This silent posture carries more strength than 1,000 speeches. It's the classic less talk, more presence. That's emotional self-discipline. That's self-control and wisdom in how you deal with others. It's what Marcus Aurelius would call invisible greatness. Often, people cross your boundaries because you don't even know where they are. The first step to setting a boundary is knowing your own worth, and then comes the practice. Don't justify, don't over-explain, just act in alignment with what's healthy for you. Seneca spoke of living in accordance with nature, and part of our nature is not accepting what repeatedly hurts us. That's not ego, that's self-preservation. Practical examples? Cut down the time you give to people who only drain you. Don't rush to reply to someone who only shows up to complain. Ask yourself, does this conversation elevate me or exhaust me? That's Stoic philosophy applied to everyday life. Creating this emotional boundary is one of the clearest signs of self-growth. And the curious thing is, the calmer you become, the more uncomfortable you make those who live off conflict. We often hear that we need to assert ourselves, but asserting yourself isn't pounding the table. It's making it clear, without anger, what is acceptable and what isn't. Silent firmness comes from inner peace, not from a need to dominate. And it works because it disarms the other person. It's like a mirror. It shows the aggressor that they're talking to themselves. And in that silence, respect is born. And what happens when you begin to impose presence with actions instead of words? The other person begins to drown in their own ego, because what they wanted was a stage, and what you gave them was absence. Excessive pride is a bottomless pit, and those who live in it eventually drown. Stoic philosophy doesn't suggest confronting arrogant people head-on, because that only feeds their inflated ego. When you try to put in their place someone who thrives on superiority, you become fuel for their vanity. But Epictetus already said it. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And that's where the turning point lies. In an argument, for instance, the arrogant person wants a stage. They don't listen to understand. They listen to reply. So, the more you justify yourself, the more ammunition they gain. The Stoic doesn't hand that over so easily. He stays silent, observes, and lets the excess of the other person reveal itself. Because when ego speaks loudly, truth quietly walks away. And those who are obsessed with winning eventually stumble over their own reflection. There's practical wisdom in letting the arrogant unravel on their own. If someone constantly disrespects or belittles you, stop trying to be heard. Instead, elevate your conduct. Be firm without being hostile. Be clear without being reactive. And above all, protect your integrity. That deeply unsettles anyone who expects you to stoop to their level. And when you don't stoop, you rise quietly. Need a real-world example? That coworker who always tries to embarrass you in front of others. If you respond in the same tone, you play their game. But if you keep your composure, deliver results, and remain unfazed, others notice. Sooner or later, that person sinks, either through their own vanity or the collapse of their mask. That's the power of ancient wisdom in modern settings. Stoicism teaches that the best confrontation is the one that never happens, not because you ran away, but because you rose above. You might walk away physically, but the real distance is mental. It's knowing that someone else's opinion only has the weight you give it, and when you give it none, their ego gets lost in its own importance, and within that strategic silence, something new begins to emerge. You stop being the target of their vanity and become the mirror reflecting their flaws. True dignity doesn't make noise. It doesn't seek recognition, demand applause, or depend on anyone's opinion. Stoic philosophy shows us that honor is built internally, in silence, far from the spotlight. It's when no one's watching that character is truly measured. The Stoic lives in alignment with their values, even if that means walking alone. Because in the end, the most important respect is the one you feel for yourself. In an era of social media where everyone wants to display virtue in high definition, dignity has become rare. It's easy to appear moral when there's a reward. Harder is to keep your principles when no one's around. Want a practical exercise? Avoid talking about your good deeds. Practice kindness in secret. Be the one who returns the wrong change, even if no one would notice. That's mental strength, life philosophy in motion, self-discipline that transforms. Those who cultivate dignity in silence confuse those who live for appearances. While others act to impress, you act to evolve. And that disturbs them. Because your serenity highlights their unrest, your calm in the face of provocation exposes their ego's mess. As Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is to be unlike those who caused the harm. And that doesn't need to be said. It needs to be lived. Sometimes preserving your dignity means saying nothing. Other times it means walking away. You won't always be understood, and that's okay. The Stoic doesn't live by explanations, but by coherence. If they underestimate you, smile with serenity. If they ignore you, keep growing. The silence of someone who knows their worth speaks louder than 1,000 justifications. And if someone tries to belittle you because they don't understand your peace, understand this. It's not about you. It's about them. Inner peace bothers those at war with themselves. So stay firm. Keep cultivating your presence, your clarity, your calm. It will irritate those who expected chaos, and at the same time, attract those who seek what you embody: balance, wisdom, truth. And it's precisely from this posture that something even more powerful is born, because when you transform rejection into silent fuel, your soul expands. And that kind of strength, no one can take from you. Few things hurt as much as feeling rejected. Whether it's in a friendship, a relationship, or even at work, being left aside stings. But that's exactly where Stoic philosophy becomes a balm. It teaches us that every pain can become fertile ground for transformation. When someone disrespects you, you have two choices: to suffer or to grow. The Stoic chooses growth. He understands that what once felt like a loss can become the foundation of unshakable strength. Rejection, as cruel as it seems, reveals where we're still dependent on others' approval. And that's liberating, because once you spot that dependence, you can start working to break it. Want a simple practice? Write down each time you felt diminished and ask, what can I learn from this? Where can I grow? This exercise sharpens your perception and brings you closer to deep self-improvement. Turning pain into strength isn't about romanticizing suffering. It's about using it with emotional intelligence. Seneca said adversity reveals genius, while prosperity hides it. That applies to rejection too. Instead of chasing external attention, use the experience as fuel for self-discipline. Read Marcus Aurelius. Embrace silence. Dedicate yourself to what elevates you. Resilience training isn't just about enduring the blow, it's about rising better after it. Practical tips. Start caring for your health as a priority. Reignite your passion for a subject that inspires you. Launch that personal project you've been putting off. Every act of self-investment is a silent answer to disrespect. While the other person remains trapped in their ego, you build something new, and the more you grow, the smaller that old wound begins to feel. That's mind mastery. That's philosophy in action. Anyone who has been rejected and didn't fall apart comes back stronger. And not to seek revenge, but to shine with dignity. That's the beauty of Stoic thinking. It doesn't deny pain, it transforms it. And in that process, you realize the respect that was truly missing was your own. When that changes, everything changes. And oddly enough, even those who once ignored you may start to notice, though by then, it might be too late for them. And when you grasp the power of reframing pain, a new path opens up. Because if you can silence suffering with greatness, then you're ready to master something even more subtle. The kind of answer that carries the most power is the one never spoken. Silence is misunderstood by many, but revered by the wise. In Stoic philosophy, it's not the absence of a response. It is a response. When someone attacks you and you don't fight back, it may seem like weakness at first. But in truth, it's concentrated strength. Because silence holds a kind of power that noise never will. It shows that you move from awareness, not impulse. And that deeply unsettles those who expected a reaction. Picture a heated argument. The other person provokes, raises their voice, throws words like weapons. And you stay silent. You breathe. You observe. That moment alone disarms any attack. Seneca said it best. No one resembles the wise more than the man who remains silent. Strategic silence is a sign of mind mastery, something rare. Not because the Stoic doesn't feel anger, but because he knows how to control it and redirect it wisely. Practicing silence is, above all, a conscious choice. You choose not to waste your energy on what doesn't build you. That takes mental strength. Want a simple exercise? The next time someone provokes you, count to 10 in your head. Then smile internally and tell yourself, this doesn't define me. That pause is emotional control in training, a clear sign of personal development. Need real-life examples? The boss who blames you unfairly, the family member who belittles you in public, the stranger who insults you online. Instead of reacting on their level, the Stoic steps up and chooses silence, not out of cowardice but wisdom, because he knows that those who scream want an audience, and when they don't get one, they fall quiet on their own. Silence is also educational. It teaches others about your limits. It shows that you're not available for emotional games, that your peace is worth more than a quick reply. That's what it means to stay calm under pressure, to remain unshaken in chaos. And here's the interesting part. Over time, even those who mocked your silence will begin to respect your presence. And it's in this silent space that true victory begins to form. Because while others fight for attention, you're about to win in the most powerful battlefield of all, within. Today's world measures success by noise, likes, applause, and visibility. But Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite. True victory is silent. It happens inside. It doesn't need a stage, an audience, or validation. It's when you look in the mirror and know you acted with integrity, even if no one saw it. That, my friend, is freedom. It's winning without shouting. It's leading without needing to dominate anyone. While most people chase external approval, the Stoic seeks internal coherence. He understands that peace of mind doesn't come from admiration, but from staying true to his principles. Want a simple example? Refusing a fake compliment. Not lowering your standards to please others. Saying no when it's easier to say yes. All of that is strength. It's self-discipline. It's a life philosophy that turns your mind into a fortress of inner peace. You don't need to prove anything to those who don't respect you. You don't need to show that you've won or rub your achievements in anyone's face. Because when you reach this level of mind mastery, even revenge becomes pointless. The real reward isn't seeing others regret. It's sleeping well at night. That's resilience training. That's staying calm under pressure. That's living with purpose. Ancient wisdom teaches us that real victory leaves you speechless. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer need to say it. The respect you once sought outside now radiates from within. And that changes how you walk, how you speak, how you decide. You stop asking for space and simply take your place with presence. Maybe the person who disrespected you today will observe you in silence tomorrow, but don't be fooled. The goal was never to be admired by them. The goal was to never betray yourself in the process. And once you understand that, even pain takes on new meaning, because you stop living under someone else's gaze and start living under the light of your own conscience. And it's exactly at that point that the desire to share what you've learned is born. Because if this transformation was possible for you, it's possible for others too. And that's where a new journey begins. If you made it this far, something inside you has already begun to change. Now that you've seen how Stoicism can turn pain into strength, rejection into dignity, and silence into authority, tell me, what will you do with all of this? Will you keep trying to be understood by those who never really listened? Or will you start cultivating a kind of respect that begins from within and commands presence without a single word? The choice is in your hands. Every Stoic lesson you've learned here can be applied today, in a tough conversation, a toxic environment, or a sudden provocation. It's all up to you. How do you want to respond next time? With impulse or with wisdom? With shouting or with composure? With anger or with self-mastery? That decision will shape the kind of life you build from now on. And tell me in the comments, which of these Stoic principles hit closest to home? Was it the power of silence, the importance of setting boundaries, or realizing that true victory doesn't need an audience? Share your experience. It helps strengthen this growing community of people seeking more awareness, mental strength, and inner peace. And if this video helped you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded of their worth. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any new content that helps you stay calm under pressure and grow from within, even when everything outside tries to shake you. This Stoic journey is just beginning, and it's far more life-changing than it seems.